Buddy. Oh, Pi. There we go. Paya's got me. Thank you. The teacher in me really appreciates that. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, nice. Welcome to Bill's birthday party. How cool is it to be 90 years old, number one? And number two, how cool is it to be 90 years old and on the day after your birthday, you not only get to have, a party, but you get to have a party with 2 bands, no waiting. And all of your friends, well, not all of them probably, because there's some of them online. If you know anybody who's watching online and you have a device thing that you can send it to them, we are on YouTube on the Met United YouTube channel live. So they can pick it up later as well, but if they want to see us live and actually experience what we're experiencing, you can, email them or text them or something like that. Welcome everybody, my name's Fran Harvey. I conduct the Metropolitan Silver Band. We are here today for, as we said, Bill's birthday, and we have with us the Oshawa Civic Band, the Metropolitan Silver Band. Yeah. And then we're going to play some pieces together. And of course, as we go along, we'll tell you a little bit about the pieces and why we chose them. And most of the music was absolutely chosen by Bill. So it's all fun, interesting music. We're starting with the Oshawa Civic Band because that's where Bill started. So I will turn it over to Rita Arends, their conductor, and enjoy.
Sorry, Fran, I have to adjust this a smidge.
Come on, I even had it pointed at my forehead.
That's when you were on the ground. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this fantastic celebration of Bill Martyn's 90th birthday. I sort of was coming around from the perspective of the fact that Bill actually started in the Oshawa Civic Band as a young lad. His father, Reg Martyn, was huge and very instrumental in the Oshawa Civic Band being able to have their own band shell, which is at Memorial Park in Oshawa Civic, in Oshawa. And then later on, the extension of the new band room, well, new, it's old now, but at that time was quite new. So the Martyn legacy with Oshawa is huge. And then through my involvement with Met, because I also play with Met, I've known Bill for many, many years. So I'd like to call him our birthday boy, obviously, our man of honor, the man of brass. I'm going to call him that, because he started off in cornet. Not only did he play cornet, but when he was with the Oshawa Band, he also played fanfare trumpets, herald trumpets. He was here on cornet, and now I also have the pleasure of him being in my horn section that you'll see later on. So this is very much the man of brass. James Ord Hume, a New Zealander, composed a march, and he wrote it as something for the general masses, not for the high society. And he wanted it to be an inspiring nature for both bandsmen and audiences alike. And it was titled Man of Brass. So Bill, for you. I'm not used to microphones. I don't think I like them either. But then beside the point, this is great. I know it needs to be done. So several months ago, Bill did ask if the two bands could come together and do this concert for him. And it became a trip down memory lane. He started telling us all these wonderful stories when he was a kid, when he was here, when he was there, when he was with this conductor, with that conductor, and all sorts of wonderful things. And he came up with a list of music. Made our job a little easier, other than there was more charts than we have time to play for. So our next number that we're going to do is starting off on Bill's memory lane trip. It's the suite from the 1875 comic opera Carmen by French composer Georges Bizet. As was the practice then, Dennis Wright arranged many of the most popular segments of the opera for brass band to play at the concerts. In this case, Wright's arrangement includes the fiery entr'acte of Act 4, the Aragonese, the cabaret-style aria from Act 1, the Habanera, the lighthearted and spirited march of the Dragoons of Alcala from Act 2, and the swaggering song of the Toreador. So here's the suite from Carmen. thank you. That's a little bit of a workout to start off a program, but thank you, Bill, for the recommendation. We love it, too. Our next, oh, did I do this? No, I did it in the right order. Okay, cool. Sometimes things change. Another chart that Bill had chosen was actually written by a Dutch composer, Johannes Haydn. This is his famous stanchion or serenade that he wrote in 1928. Very much in the style of the light classical music of the time. It was originally written for violin and piano because Johannes was a violin player. And he toured around with it a lot, and it became quite popular in mainland Europe. Later on, by the early 1940s, BBC used it on one of their radio broadcasts as the signature song for the Palm Court Orchestra on Sunday evenings. And here it is a Sunday, only it's the afternoon. It was used by the Japanese in 1943 for the radio broadcast, The Evening Show from the Front Lines. And still today, the Japanese will use it on their railway systems as the muzak, the box stuff that comes out. And apparently, in 1976, Atari Games used it as background music for one of their games. So this is Mackenzie's version from 1936 of Haydn's Serenade. I think some people would call that a cute little ditty. Okay, another one. Here we go. As I said, this is Bill's memory lane of repertoire. There's a chart called Overture, The Lonely Mill. It was written by an orchestra, a military band conductor, Handel Lancaster. And no, he's not related to Handel, the famous composer, nor is Lancaster related to the bomber. So why his parents called him that, I have no idea. But anyway, he wrote a couple charts, did a lot of arrangement because he took a lot of his orchestra work that he was conducting and transferred it over for military band that he also conducted. And the thing is, it's called an overture, which means you're supposed to start the program with it. We didn't. But I think it also could be equally labeled a cornet feature. And maybe this is why Bill loves it so much, because there's a lot of cornet work in it. So again, very much in the light classical style, but here is The Lonely Mill. So another thing common was that you have, even now today, but in early brass bands, you basically had two solo players. Orchestras had one, the concertmaster, sometimes the cello. And in one case, the brass band sort of followed that, because you have your solo cornet and you have your solo euphonium. Sorry, Bill, it's not a cornet. But it can be. We can shrink it in the wash for you. Over the years, Bill has been always interested in what's happened to the Oshawa Civic Band, because that's part of his roots. He would ask me, so what concert are you doing? What repertoire are you playing? Always wondering what we were doing. And kept saying, gee, if I lived a little closer, I'd be out at your concerts. So last summer, one of the things we did, and we talked about this a bit, was we did an entire program of Canadian repertoire. A lot of it hadn't even been written for brass band at that point. And one of the charts that we did was by Inuktitut singer, who also has received the Order of Canada, Susan Eglicart. In 1992, she collaborated with several other Canadian artists and recorded the chart Song of the Land, a wonderful blend of Inuit, folk, country, and pop. And just like Bill, showing us that music is lifelong, Susan last year also, not saying that Susan is Bill's age yet, but last year she did a 35-stop cross-Canada tour. So she was quite busy. But I'd like to read the first two stanzas and the chorus of this, because in some ways it rings true to Bill, to us as musicians, and to life. Somewhere there's a land where the sun brightly shines, and across the tundra slow rivers wind, and love lives forever and dreams never die. Somewhere there's a land for you and I. Somewhere there's a land where the snow softly falls. We've had plenty of that. Elders are cherished and pasts are recalled. But tomorrow is sparkling in the eye of a child. Somewhere there's a land for you and I. It's the song of the land in the heart of common man. Raise your voices and join your hands. Sing the song of the land. So Bill is a band elder, and he has great wealth of knowledge and history and wonderful stories, and we enjoy them very much. Fran keeps reminding me he doesn't quite reach Ken Allen's tenure with the band, but you're not that far behind. And we cherish you, Bill. So this one's for you, Song of the Land. coming up to our last selection. I don't want to fall off the podium. I've done that before in my life. And it's interesting that there's not only musical connection between the two bands, because many of us play in two bands. Bill started in one, moved to the other, but even between our congregations and our churches, the Oshawa Civic Band has had, being right in downtown Oshawa, in the Memorial Park, has had a long-lasting tie with St. George's Memorial Church. And here's where some of the similarities. Although the establishment of the congregation was in 1842 for St. George's, met as 1818, you both have Cassafont Freres organs. You both had your third building somewhere between 1922 and 1925. And both congregations and both churches are social and community hubs, peaceful sanctuaries for the soul of the city that you're in. The soul of the city of Zwolle in the Netherlands is basically Saint Michael the Archangel, because he was deemed as a knight who fought against a dragon, the dragon being the evil. Definitely a classical tale of, the good versus evil, fairness versus justice. And this particular chart that we're going to close out our segment is called Saint and the City. It includes the Laudet Dominum by Hubert Parry, Hear My Words, O Ye People, in the Book of Common Prayer 330, and in your Voices United 228. So here's to us all with the family and the friendships that we have, and the looking for the good versus the evil. So it's time to come to band 2. We were just the warm-up band. So we'll switch chairs, switch instruments for some of us, and I'll turn it over to Fran. Thank you.
She really is that much taller than me. Holy crow, who knew? I thought she was shorter than I am.
I got heels on.
It'll take us about 3 or 4 minutes to get moved around. If you need to stretch in the audience, feel free to get up and stretch. Feel free to talk to the people beside you. I'll let you know when we're ready to get going again. It'll take us just a couple of minutes. And those people who are wearing blue jackets with us, if you could find your way to the stage, would be great. Whichever one of those works for you. I'll talk to you after. Okay, they're really efficient. This is a Metropolitan silver band, and boy, do they get into place in a hurry. They know, yeah. They've met me before, right? Okay. So if you're ready, we're ready. If you're ready, we'd like to come back. As I said earlier, my name's Fran Harvey. We are the Metropolitan Silver Band, and we live here at Metropolitan United Church. I know most of you know that, and I see many familiar faces, so it's great. It's great having you here with us today. Bill joined the Metropolitan Silver Band 70 years ago. And I think he's probably missed a total of 3 rehearsals in those 70 years, and it was when he was traveling. And he books his traveling around the Met season. So he's never away during that. And if he's ill, his wife Kay used to say, oh, he has the miracle Met cure. He'd be feeling terrible, and about 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night when he was coming down to rehearsal, she said, magically, he was well. Off he goes to Met, plays the rehearsal, comes back. And then he was sick again after that. But, it's amazing what music can do for you. Certainly it keeps you young. And we're all hoping that we can do what he can do when we're 90. So the first piece of music we're going to play for you with the Metropolitan Silver Band is a piece that comes from our history here, but also part of Bill's history. This is the music from the movie Henry V. And the reason we chose the music from the movie Henry V, aside from the fact that it's absolutely gorgeous music and it's something Bill likes to play, Bill was a drama teacher for many, many years. And for many, many years, he produced and directed and did all the stuff with the plays here at Met as well, and with professional theater as well. So this is kind of our nod to the stage for him, one of our nods to the stage. There's several nods to the stage. But this is one that, from that tradition of formal literature. Now, I'm not going to tell you the story of Henry V. If you want, you can go home and read some Shakespeare. It's a great story, but basically, end of the battle, they're all out on the battlefield, and glorious and all that kind of stuff, but not so, because battlefield. And the monks come out and start singing this song, not for us, but to thy glory, O Lord, and non nobis Domine. So one of the things when we started planning this concert, Bill told me a story. Imagine that. And so the story Bill told me about was when he was a young lad, he went, they had a cottage up near Jackson's Point, and Jackson Point is the home of the Salvation Army summer camps, quite a big camp there that they have. And on the weekends, they would have a musicale, so all the folks that were up there for the camp would get together and they would put on a concert every weekend, and so Bill and his family would go and watch these concerts. And at one of them, I will forget the person's name. I'm sure Bill will remind you later who it was. An older fellow who had been one of the leaders of the staff band. He was a dude in the band world there. Got up and played a solo, and he was in his 90s. And Bill saw that and went, and he was just a young kid, and he went, "Oh, I want to be able to do that when I'm 90." So he's 90. So he's going to play a solo. Yeah. So anybody who's played in the band knows that Bill has this little thing he warms up with, and it's some music. It's a beautiful little aria from Samson and Delilah that he warms up with, and he's always played it. Those of us, who've heard it for many years, kind of go, "Oh yeah, the Bill's warming up." And there's this beautiful little aria that most of us aren't familiar with. So Rita, Bill said to Rita, "Could you write this for solo horn?" And so she did. She wrote it for solo horn. And Bill said, "Well, why don't you just play it with me instead? So we'll do it as a duet, and I'll play some solo, and you can play some solo, and we both get to play solo horn that way." So Rita wrote it specifically for Bill and for herself. And this is the My Heart Opens to Your Voice. How nice is that as a name for a piece of music for those of us who are music lovers? It's perfect. And so this is Samson and Delilah are back there, and you will hear them both playing horn on this beautiful solo. Which one's which? Delilah. Samson. Samson. Ba, 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 ba. Smooth, keep it moving, right? So those of us who've listened to him warm up for years now know what that actually sounds like when you put it all together. Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Rita, for doing that for him. It's a beautiful piece of music. So as I mentioned, Bill was a theater guy, and every time I pull out music for a musical, Bill's like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. I saw that when we did, whatever. He's been to every musical at least 45 times, I'm sure. And he's still an avid theater goer, and we often talk about what we saw last, which is really kind of fun because he sees some of the most interesting shows. He really gets around still at 90. So the next piece of music we're going to do is from that music theater world. And I said to Bill, you know, what kind of, and he said, oh, well, we could do like, how about Oklahoma? And I mean, how can you not want to do Oklahoma, right? So it's the story of the birth of Oklahoma, and it's the story of Curly and whatever her name is, Sally, I forget her name. She was really not as important as he was, because he's the guy that starts the musical. And it's one of the first musicals that started without a big chorus song and dance number. It starts with one lone cowboy jumping over a fence and singing, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." And I think that might be what's kept Bill young. Not singing, playing, but being ready to jump over the fence and enjoy a beautiful morning every single day. So this is the music from Oklahoma. You'll hear a little bit of Surrey with the Fringe on top. You'll hear all the big hits from Oklahoma. And I'll try to remember to put it in the right time. So I mentioned that Bill's a fan of theater. He's also a fan of big band and, well, any kind of music, really. And he's also a big fan of young people. He had lots of folks that he's met over the years through his teaching, and he sort of brought them into other things with him and brought them along with him to various opportunities for them. But he's also been one of those guys that kind of, you know, he's so excited about what he does that it gets other people excited in what he does. And one of the people that he brought to the band several years ago now, probably a couple of, yeah, several years ago now, is Michelle McCall. And Michelle McCall was a student actually at Northview? Yeah, Northview, with Bill. And he said, well, why don't you come and play with the brass band? It'd be really good for you. And she's been playing, you know, off and on with us ever since. There's interrupted service, so it doesn't count in her 70-year accumulation process. So Michelle is our flugelhorn player, and what better instrument to feature sort of some big band music and a nice big solo. And we have an arrangement that has been rearranged from the Nelson Riddle original arrangement of Frank Sinatra's version of Cole Porter's song called I've Got You Under My Skin. And certainly Bill has been under our skin for many years, and we're glad to have him there. I'm going to get it for that one. And we're delighted to have Michelle play it for you. So this is, just picture Frank. She's taller than he was probably. And here's some I've Got You Under My Skin. About there? Not too slow. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So now, this is the last piece for the Metropolitan Silver Band. Then what's going to happen is we'll take a brief moment for the Oshawa Civic folks to rejoin us, and then we have a couple of pieces to do for you together, because everybody needs a march, frankly. And we have this really cool piece to end with as well. But the next piece we're going to do is, well, it's my personal favorite, which is why I told Billy he had to do it. Because it's my personal favorite. Are there any Blue Jays fans out there? Good looking spring training so far. I'm looking forward to the World Classic, the World Baseball Classic. Ken Allen, who was one of our most dedicated band members, and one of the people that Bill always looked up to, and that always, they were buddies, was Ken Allen. And Ken managed 73 years. Bill, you got a little work to do yet. Well, we'll have another one of these when he's 94, and we'll have the 74-year anniversary for him. And Ken Allen wrote a version of the incredible poem Casey at the Bat, with music to go with it and appropriate accompaniment.
That's it.
All right?
Yeah.
Sure? One more tip.
Oh, I need that thing, I think.
Oh, yes, don't worry. You get that there. He's trying to steal my microphone before I finish. He's like that. And Bill, for many years, was our announcer and introduced all the pieces. And so he's done this piece with us many, many times. He will tell you about Casey at the Bat, and then all right, and you will get to hear why he was such a well-known actor and director for what he does. This is Bill Martyn with Casey at the Bat.
Yeah. Okay for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Want to tell them anything about it?
Only that Ken and I, Ken, who put this arrangement together for us years ago, he was our manager and our trombone soloist for many years. We were both fans of the Jays, especially Ken. And so it was a perfect thing for him to arrange. He's arranged many things for this band over the years that we have in our repertoire. But this one is pretty special, especially for the baseball fans among you. Here we go.
Here we go. Okay.
The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2 with but one inning more to play. And then when Cooney died at first, and Barrows did the same, a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to that hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought if only Casey could get a whack at that. Well, we put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did Jimmy Blake. And the former was a Lulu, and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude, grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey's getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single, to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, and the men saw what had occurred, there was Johnny, safe at second, and Flynn, hugging third. Then from 5,000 throats and more there rose a lusty roar. Yell, that is. It rumbled through the valley. It rattled in the dell. It knocked upon the mountains and recoiled upon the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place, and there was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And then, responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. And while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed in Casey's eye, a sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air. And Casey stood watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy baseman, the ball, unheeded, sped. That ain't my style, said Casey. Strike one, the umpire said. From the benches black with people, there went a muffled roar, like the beating of the stone waves on a stern and distant shore.
Kill him! Kill the umpire!
Shouted someone from the stand. And it's likely they'd have killed him had Casey not raised his hand with a smile of Christian charity. Great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroid flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two!" Cried the maddened thousands, and echo answered, "Fraud, fraud, fraud." But the scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball. And now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light, and somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout, but there's no joy in Melville. Mighty Casey has struck out.
We will take a moment right now. So you have another stretch break. We'll take about 5 minutes while we reset and bring our Oshawa Civic friends back to join us. Make sure we have enough music stands for everybody and all in the right places. And then we'll come back and play a couple more pieces for you.
It's Memorex. Sorry. So we're about ready to start again. So if you are able to make your way back to your seats, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I'm just thinking back to black and white TV and the countdown before commercials, the 10, 9, 8, and they would say, it's time for station identification. So here we are, the mass band of the Oshawa Civic Band and the Metropolitan United Church Band.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle. I'm the manager of the band and flugelhornist, and the goddaughter of our guest of honor today, Bill Martyn. And I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of the band about Bill. There's always much to say about Bill. But as you heard, he's been with the band for 70 years, and over those years, he's played solo cornet, he's played repiano cornet, tenor horn, he's been our MC, he's recited poetry, he's been on our committee for decades long, always giving great ideas and being invaluable. I loved Rita's point about Bill being a band elder or man o' brass, because he certainly is, for our group, a band elder, but also because of his knowledge, not his age. And one thing that Bill taught me, certainly, and I'm sure this is the same for many people who've been through the band over the years, is what it means to have a true love of banding and a true appreciation of what music can do for your heart and soul, probably for the world, but also, too, its unique contribution to our lives, whether it's through church, faith, and worship, or just for our own well-being. Bill has been a mentor to many of us, and certainly for me, it started in grade 11. He taught me all kinds of things on those drives down from his house to the band in those days, all about brass band repertoire, the value of practice and sticking with it when all you really want to do was melt it down and make something else out of it. But most of all, he taught us, many of us, how banding builds camaraderie, it builds a type of family, it teaches us how to be cooperative, and of course it's fun. When you think over the years of all the parties, and at his house in particular, we used to have many barbecues over several decades. They were fantastic. Just the weekends and tours that we went on, and of course the many, many, many concerts. We also learned from banding, of course, and Bill, what great friendship truly is, and how to express our human emotions most effectively. So, Bill, on behalf of the band, happy birthday, of course, but also I want to thank you very much for 70 years and all the things that you've brought to all of us and the Met. And on behalf of us all, of course, this is most appreciated. And I think we're going to sing now. We're going to sing, am I right? Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
So we have one last piece of music to play for you today. When we asked Bill what he wanted to do, he said, oh, well, you know, play something that we've played recently, sort of recently. And so we said, well, you know, any personal preferences? And he said, oh, I don't know. And so we said, how about a piece by Paul Lovett Cooper? Paul Lovett Cooper writes for brass band. Serious writer for us. Newer music, different style. Very energetic, very interesting. Bill really likes his writing. And I said, well, how about we do Dark Side of the Moon? And Dark Side of the Moon, he wrote about the back side of the moon, but the part that's really important about it is the reason he wrote it was because he and his father spent a lot of time together, Paul Lovett Cooper, and his father, and one of the things they used to talk about was things like, what happens on the other side of the moon? What's there? That kind of stuff. Bill is one of those people that you have those kind of conversations with, those philosophical conversations, but also his dad brought him originally to the Oshawa Civic Band. His uncle was in the band. Two uncles, no waiting, multiple uncles in the band. So this is a very much appropriate piece of music for the feel of, community and what we do. And what better way to go out than with some serious brass band music that's of a modern strike. So after we're done, if you feel so inclined and would like to make a donation, we have our tippy tap machine out there. You can do your tap thing. Or if you would like to go online, there's a QR code and all that kind of stuff. Just say that it's from Bill's birthday. The money from today, anything that's raised today from the concert, will go to our food program here, where we support our community in our neighborhood here. It's a really important program that we do. And after we have finished playing, there's cake. What a shame, there's birthday cake. And there's some de-alcoholized wine back there and everything for you. We are the United Church of Canada. We want to keep it really good for you. So we thank you for coming today. Bill thanks you immensely. Do you want to say something before? While I set up my music, we'll let him talk to you for a second. Stay where you are. Stay seated. It's fine.
I've been thinking a lot about this day, looking forward to it, especially when my home band is here. I'm thinking back to my days in Oshawa and how I look forward to 2 rehearsals a week plus gigs. And we played pop concerts in the winter, bringing special guests in, all kinds of people. My father managed the band for over 50 years, and he got R.S. McLaughlin, who was a friend, to build the marvelous band shell that these guys get to play in. But I used to rehearse in the basement. And then they built this marvelous rehearsal hall, and some years later. But it was a wonderful place to start in Oshawa. That's where I learned basically my music about brass band that has enabled me to play in England, Scotland, New Zealand, Australia, and my wife's and our travels. In fact, if my wife were alive, she would be here, and this is her birthday today. So it's very appropriate because she was a great supporter of this band. And she always asked me before we set out, "Are you sure you want to go? I don't think there's a band there." So I would give up the great sacrifice sometimes, but I always look for a band. And the brass band is a brotherhood, sisterhood all over the world now. And you can go to any country and find a brass. I found the one in Australia by looking in their yellow pages. I phoned up, was the bandmaster. He said, "Oh, we'll come." I said, "I have my mouthpiece." So he said, "We'll give you an instrument." "Where are you?" Came and got me, brought me home. Same thing happened in New Zealand. So if any of you guys are traveling in those two countries, or Scotland, or the Shetlands, I played with the Shetland brass band too. All you gotta do is look in the yellow pages. And they'll welcome you, as this band has for 70 years, with open hearts. And we all know each other's repertoire because it's the same all around the world. I want to thank, especially, I see so many familiar faces, for coming to this event. It was really epic for me to get the place where my friends were when I was a teenager, and where my friends have been since I came to university and joined this band 70 years ago. It's a wonderful group of people. You could hear it in our music today, I think. So glad you came. I see so many faces. I love them very much. They know that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming to hear 2 wonderful bands. In fact, both bands over the years in the C&E competition won 3 times in a row, at least once, were Dominion champions, as we were called. The Oshawa band, then the Met band, and we were friendly rivals. Well, mostly friendly. We even played baseball, my father told me, together, but he wouldn't tell me who won. Anyway, I thank the Oshawa Band for making this a wonderful occasion. Rita, thank you. And Fran, for everybody buying into it. And you do get cake. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everybody. There will be cake in just a moment or two, but first we're going to go to the dark side of the moon, because why wouldn't you? Thanks so much for coming today. We hope to see you again soon. Follow us. Both of us have websites. Follow both of us, and make sure you come out to our other concerts, and because Bill will be at all of them for us. So please join us again.